Good morning, VooTube viewers. It's me, I'm back. I'm back, I'm Gertie Rude. Well, I got you a doozy this morning, VooTube viewers. And to be fair, it's not a barrel of laughs, this one. It isn't. There's no way I can spin it, really. Bar taking the Michael royally out of the adult protagonists in this disgusting case. But I thought I'd bring it to you. Well, it's a sort of illustration, actually, of how these things actually do pan out. A lot of it happens behind closed doors, but these people are such magnificent narcissists that they've performed it on the world stage for us all to look at. So we can all actually learn something about the dysfunctionality and toxicity within families where children are abused and of actual child abuse. I think you're probably all familiar with this one. Her name's Natalia Grace Barnett. She came from the Ukraine, a little girl. She was born on the 9th of the 4th, 2003. And she was immediately put into a children's home in the Ukraine because she was born with a certain amount of disabilities that would become apparent. So I'm going to start it here. And before I go, I do know that this is a 50-50 split. I've seen quite a lot of hate and bile and ill-informed opinions on YouTube and other social media outlets about this poor little girl who I consider to be a victim of some severe and prolonged, protracted child abuse by adults, not only in her family, that are around about her. I'm just getting cross and shaky talking to you about it. It's vile. But I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to give my opinion. It's Gertie's opinion. And I've got lots of opinions, I can assure you, on this one. If anybody does, it won't be my usual commentators, but this case does attract all sorts of complete cretins and lunatics. And if anybody does come over here and leave vile comments about this child, not only will your comment be removed, but I'll report you. And that's a promise. So I'd rather, if you've got nothing nice to say, I suggest you say nothing. And also, I've got to say it, I don't want you to like this as per se, you know what I mean, because you can't like it, it's too upsetting. But if you could subscribe to me if you enjoy my content, and I'll be back probably later on today with something a bit more funny. But anyway, here we go. We're going to start with this poor little child. Here we go, YouTube.
I'm afraid of what might happen if someone doesn't help me. I'm going to send some help. What's your name? Natalia Barnett.
April 26th, 2010. That's the day that we adopted Natalia. By the time we get to the end of 2012, we've been living with a sociopath trying to kill us every day.
Oh,
We don't know who she is.
sorry about that.
We don't know how old she is. She won't admit who she is. She won't.
This guy is a maniac of mammoth proportions. I mean, absolutely mammoth proportions. And I've got to say, and it is my opinion, and it pans out, because I wouldn't be me if I didn't give you my real truthful opinions. I'm a double Aries, so I don't keep them to myself. My truthful opinions is I get a whiff of the bonce about that man, and I'm entitled to my opinion. And it's founded on some pretty empirical evidence, as you'll find out as it goes on. Oh, this poor little girl just makes me shiver. Come on,
tell us
darling.
the truth of who she is.
Tell us the truth of who she is.
Doctors have told us she's nowhere near the age you were told.
Prick. To start with, the little child was put immediately after her birth into a Ukrainian orphanage. She was then adopted by some wacky American family that brought her over to America. And I know you can see me on this one, but I'm sorry about that. I just literally don't care. I've got to get this out. And I think, reading between the lines, what I'm given to believe in America, everything costs money. It's all about money. And this child needed some quite long and very expensive medical intervention, probably surgeries as well. So after a year, they started hawking her around the internet, trying to get someone else to adopt her. There were several people that wanted to, couples that wanted to adopt her that were from a similar physical disability as herself. So they had some sort of insight and understanding, more so than these parents anyway. But for whatever reason, well, the main reason was that the other families that wanted to adopt her that were more, they would have been better for her because they would have understood her a lot more and loved her and, just cared for her in a way that she wasn't cared for. But they wanted money because they'd spent so much money on her medical intervention in 1 year. They were asking for $25,000, which is a lot of money. I don't know how much it is in British money, but it's a lot of money. It sounds like a lot of money, doesn't it, Victor? Especially when you're talking about rehoming a dog. Oh, no, sorry, it's a child, isn't it? Makes me sick. I mean, this couple, the Barnetts, Cats Protection should have turned them down, let alone adoption agency. But more of them soon. Look at this poor little darling. Poor little girl. Come on, sweetie. Here we are, the maniac.
Marion County Court for her case to be heard to have her age.
Non-blinking psychopath, and he's got the bleeding cheek to call her sociopath. A little child. Horrible little man. Oh, gives me boncy creeps.
Corrected to something more appropriate.
Yeah.
The judge had a petition prepared by an attorney that
Yes.
would lay out the arguments
She's
for
lovely,
why
this lady.
this person is not they believe she is actually an adult. Nobody knows quite what.
Yeah, because in the state, I think it's Indiana or wherever, godforsaken place in America, this poor child had to exist. The parents are responsible for their child right up to the age of 21. There has been cases of children going to America from Eastern Europe where, as she explains, that the adoption agencies cut off a couple of years because most parents want a baby, or the younger the child, the better. I mean, it's just sick and twisted. Kids are kids, they need a home. So, yeah, they don't lop off 14, 15 years. When she came to America, you can see photographs. If you go into YouTube, she's all in there. You can research it yourself. You see photographs of her with the Barnetts where she's patently lost her teeth. Her baby teeth are coming out. I mean, what are they, her adult teeth? And then she's like getting some new ones and gluing them back in. Or is it actually that she's a bleeding child? Horrible bleeding lot. Luckily, this lady is the only one that speaks some sort of sanity in this godforsaken saga.
What age? But she has not grown in 4 years.
No.
So the judge came up with his own little formula.
Dwarfism.
Well, you stop growing at 18. If she hasn't grown in 4 years, then she's at least 18 when she entered their lives, and I'm going to add 4 years. He said, okay, I find you 22.
Barnetts were a very rich couple. And if you know anything about the mother, I wouldn't be at all surprised if she wasn't involved in some way. Horrible woman.
No.
Oh, darling little kid.
At the time that she was re-aged, I knew she was adult, did I?
I'm not being funny. He makes John Wedger look bleeding sane, this freak, doesn't he? Horrible man. Come on,
I know
idiot.
It was 18, 22, 35, 150. No. Re-aging is not unusual. It does happen in international adoptions. A couple years might be shaved off the age of the child because it's more attractive to adopt her back in their home. But Christine wants to make sure she's got a good place to live. So Christine and her go out the next day and they find her an apartment in Westfield.
Yeah, I've skipped a bit of it because it's just too tedious. Basically, the judge then rebirthed her and gave her a new birth date, which was the 9th of the 4th, 89, which made her like conveniently 22 rather than 21, which gave them a good reason to get rid of her. The reason they thought she was a lot older was because she was precociously pubic at the age of 6, which I'm given to believe, and I have done a bit of research before I come on here and flap my bleeding gums, that precocious puberty is a thing very often with disabled children that are disabled to the severity that she was. Whether it's to do with the medication, I got no idea. Maybe you could look into that yourselves. But for some reason, it does seem to be a thing. But she was very much a child. She needed a lot of surgeries as well. And the reason they thought that she was older than 6 was because that she conversed like an adult. And this is from, I need to tell you, this is from a family whose son, the golden child of the family, Jacob, was a child prodigy. He was a genius mathematician and could converse with adults, professors in universities on an equal terms. But the Barnetts were shocked that this little 6-year-old girl spoke like an adult, with no thought to the fact that actually she'd been pushed from pillar to post, can't even remember being in the Ukraine. All she can remember, her memories came in when she was in America with her, I think they were called the Sissonis. Tells you all you need to know. Madonna. Go on.
Westfield, Indiana is in Hamilton County, Indiana. Hamilton County, Indiana is the richest part of the state.
Yeah. Actually, that's not true,
It's
but whatever.
a single floor apartment complex.
Yeah.
She's got a living room.
Oh, that's nice.
She's got a dining room.
Wow.
She's got a little eating kitchen.
Yes.
She's got a bathroom and she's got a bedroom.
You gave her a bathroom and a bedroom. How
Christine
kind
and Natalia
of you.
signed the lease. They paid the first 3 months up front.
8-year-old child she was at this point. 8-year-old child. Just because they'd decided that she was older and got a judge to go along with it. Money talks, but it don't sing and dance. And I'll leave it there. You get me. They had her re-age, her bone density, this, that, and the bleeding other. It strikes me that you throw enough money at something and the outcome can be whatever you want it to be in certain places, and it shouldn't be like that for children. They should be protected. It's left me feeling really, really quite sad, actually, in this case. Horrible. Just horrible. Gets worse.
Moving day into Natalia's apartment, and I know we gave Natalia some furniture out of our home.
No! Do you know what? We should vote for him. He should become the Pope, shouldn't he? He gave his adopted daughter, so vis-a-vis, his daughter, some furniture out of his home, Voodoo-Foos. Wow, what a magnanimous and lovely chap, Voodoo-Foos, eh? Don't we all wish we know him? Yes, we do, Voodoo-Foos. He gave his 8-year-old kid some furniture out of his house.
It was just, it's pretty basic stuff.
Prick.
There's not a lot of tale to tell there.
I think that Christine didn't know what to do with Natalia.
No.
So why not put her in an apartment and say she's 22?
Yeah, exactly. Where was the granny in this? Because if that was me, I'd be knocking down doors. I would. She does make an appearance. His mother makes an appearance at the end, but she's quite sedentary and sort of, not in any way any impact. I mean, who could stand by and let this happen? And now we've got to meet all the neighbours, which is like meeting the Bleeding Adams family, one and all. This woman.
I'm Sue McCollum, and I was a neighbor to Natalia when we lived in the Westfield apartments.
Now, bearing in mind this 8-year-old girl had been told that she was 22. She didn't know any better. I mean, I worked in this area like many decades back, and I actually knew a child that had been told by her family constantly that she was a thief, and she was regularly stealing money. I mean, money that was way above a child of her age could possibly have spent without drawing attention to herself. And she believed she'd done it. She believed it was actually the husband in the family was stealing the money. But the child actually believed she'd done it, because when an adult is telling a child and their little brains are still forming, they're only 7, 6, 7, 8, that sort of age. And the adult in their world is saying, you're a thief, you're a this, you're a that, beating her till she couldn't even stand, let alone sit down. And then months money was still going missing. She really believed that she was taking this money. She wasn't. It was the man of the house, the so-called cuckolded. I mean, the mother was a raging malignant narcissist and he was a histrionic. They were just both child abusers. And we will find out that this is quite prescient, because this seems to be what's going on here from what I can see. I mean, I'm not a technical wizard. I try my best. to bring you some sort of, I don't know, entertainment, but this isn't really entertaining. It's more for me a labour of love, really, because I think I should say something. The parents are just atrocious. Bit of research, you can see that right under their noses in their oh so perfect family, with, as he says, he had a Lamborghini parked on the driveway. The mother was having affairs left, right and centre. He worshipped the ground she walked on because he's a prick. He's a cuckold in the family, really. And anything that the wife said, you know, he would just parrot. The mother, the wife, his wife, Christine Barnett, her name, actually ran a daycare centre for disabled autistic children. I mean, that's just unbelievable that these lot are allowed anywhere near children. And yeah, and she was actually playing away from home quite a lot on an industrial scale, swinging or dogging or whatever you want to call it. It was most unsavoury. It wasn't just like she was having an affair. She was highly hypersexual, but just not with her husband. So let's just leave that there. And just a despicable human being if ever I've seen one. And this is my opinion. And I think last time I checked, I'm entitled to my opinion, given the evidence of everything that I've seen here on social media. That is my opinion. And often scapegoating a child. Well, she was othered, wasn't she? She was othered because she wasn't of their family. She was adopted. They chose to see her as this, that, and the other. Something about some stupid bleeding film called Orphan, and they seem to have took the plot of the movie and moulded it onto this poor little child and made out that they woke up to find her standing there with a knife in her hand. She was a 6-year-old girl that could barely bloody walk, let alone jump up on a bed and knife someone. But she was told that she'd done it, so she believed she'd done it. It's absolutely bleeding heartbreaking. And all the family sort of joined in this scapegoating of this child. Scapegoating, it was dysfunctional and toxic family situation. And it helps the abuser feel more in control of what's going on in the family, is to sort of redirect everything and all their energies, negative energies, onto somebody else in the family, usually the weakest. So a child that is being othered because she wasn't biologically theirs and disabled, and also the recipient or the needy potential recipient of quite a lot of their funds, because she needed a lot of surgery. So it was easier for them to find her an adult and push her back onto the American taxpayer, because they put her in this bleeding apartment and she was on food stamps. So, and she was 8, but they were telling everyone she was 22. And she believed she was 22 as well. It's the most heartbreaking and absolutely, and I mean, you know, the thing is, this is one child, but there's probably hundreds of thousands, if not millions of kids going through this all over the world in some way, in every country, in every possible way. Kids are abused terribly. And yeah, I thought I'd just bring this to you guys and see what you guys think of it, because I know you're a nice, kind, compassionate bunch.
Okay, now what?
Betty Sue, put your teeth in,
I
girl.
just met her by accident one day.
Yeah.
I see her mom sitting out all her grocery sacks on the sidewalk, and I thought her back was to me, and I thought, my gosh, that poor little girl carrying those groceries in. So I went up there. I was going to the mailbox, and I said, well, honey, do you need some help? And I said, where's your mom? And she turned around and she said, I'm 22. I expected her to have, you know, young, but she's not. She was a dog. You could tell by looking at her. And, well, her mom had a Cadillac. And
Betty Sue here could see that she was an adult because she chose to see she was an adult. You know, at the end of the day, she had a particular disability that she had no insight into and had no business of coming on these opinions. You'll see other stupid bleeding people like this as well that added to this poor child's misery. And I can barely do this, I'm shaking. Oh, here we go. You got to meet this melt. Come on, cuck.
Each other and just
Another neighbour.
What's going on here?
And at first it stressed me out because I thought she was...
What stresses me out is the fact that you're married to him, to be honest, and you're female. But there you go. I'm shocked and surprised. Yes!
Crossing the street.
One of this poor little kid's neighbours.
Then she came over and started talking to us.
Yes.
And, definitely wasn't a child.
Yeah. I would be more concerned with the fact that having met your husband quite liberally on a few of these documentaries where you stuffed your nose into where you just written yourself into the story. My concern, my darling, would be that, he don't walk down the same road as you. Yes, he definitely doesn't back for the team you back for, lovey. That's what you want to be concerning yourself with. Not with a feral child that's been abandoned and imagining she's an adult because all the neighbours are saying that she's dirty and she don't wash her hair. Guess what? She was disabled and 8, my dear. Stupid bag.
It was super nice.
Yeah.
She expressed herself well.
Yes.
Just was being friendly with us.
Survival instinct of a child that's being abused as well really is to be whatever they possibly need to be. Around adults, they sort. You can see the fear in this child's eyes a lot of the time. But let's listen to this neighbour's husband.
Introduces herself, sits right down, starts a conversation like we've been friends for years.
Right.
So,
how abnormal for a child.
Didn't bother me.
No, it did not much.
Time.
No. Cuckold. Yeah. Let's make out she's a psychopathic murderer. Because, of course, one of the neighbours says, why are you here? Why doesn't your mum and dad help you more? And she said, well, because I tried to stab them. But that's what she was told she did. She was too young to remember it. It just become the mantra that she was given. And being a child herself, that's what she repeated. Didn't mean it was true. It was what the adults in her life had told her she'd been doing. So the whole neighbourhood ganged up on her. I believed her to be this evil.
My name's Andrew Rice. I'm an auto mechanic, ASE Master Certified Mechanic.
Yeah. I'm not being funny. I didn't think you were a brain surgeon, mate.
I used to live on Catherine Drive in Westfield, Indiana.
Very exciting.
But one day, my grandson was in the driveway playing. It was about 60 degrees out.
Yeah.
And my wife went in the house for just a moment, and I followed her in. And then when I looked out the window, there was a little person walking up into our yard.
Stop calling her a little person. Ridiculous. She's a child.
Toward our garage.
A child.
And she started talking to my grandson, and they started playing in the driveway. They were riding the electric motorcycle up and down the driveway and having races. On your mark, get set, go. My first impression of Natalia was that she was a little person. I didn't necessarily think she was a child at first. And as we got to speak with her, she actually admitted that she was 26 years old at that point. And she told us that she lived in the apartments down the street, which were only 2-3 houses down across the street.
Right, we cut the crap, basically, because none of us have got time to listen to this bleeding melt carrying on, right? So not only were her adopted family othering her, they bunged her out into this neighbourhood here where it was some sort of community. God knows what. I'm not American, I don't know. Literally do not care. And she was othered there as well. And because she went around telling everybody she was 22, 26, whatever, they then started to see her as the evil dwarf. They were all talking about her. They were scared to let her near their children. Because old Betty Sue, who you met at the beginning there, the old lady, Boot, told everybody that she told them that she was put there by her parents because she tried to stab them. So they then started to imagine the plot of the film Orphan that I haven't watched, got no intention of watching. Because who wants to watch stuff like that when life is so much more frightening? So they all othered her, spoke about her behind her back, and had her down for this person that she really wasn't. She was just a child. Just a child. They should be bloody ashamed of themselves. Every last one of them. Sickening. Why didn't you go and help her? But I need to add, even though they all believed her to be an adult and a psychopathic adult because of remarks she'd made, because that's what she'd been groomed into believing herself. When things really got out of hand, oddly enough, VooTubers, they didn't report her to disability people. No. They didn't even report her to the police, some sort of miscreant. Do you know who they reported her to? Believing her to be an adult, they reported her to Child Services. So that tells you all you need to know about these people. Shame on them. I bet they all go to bleeding church as well.
But as the sun started to set, it started to cool down a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I know Natalia didn't have a jacket on that day, and we were jacketed up because it started getting cool.
Yeah, it does that. 60 degrees cold straight away, doesn't it? You melt.
It also seemed like she hadn't done some of the basic hygienic things that most people would normally.
Because she was 8. Abandoned, 8. There was also stories of her going into the estate manager's office because there were sweets in there. She used to wander in there and help herself to sweets. She was seen eating food out of people's bins, going into people's houses and trying to take food. But the most distressing thing, which goes back to my Bonds point, is the fact that she was hypersexualised. And it's now confirmed, and I never had any doubt anyway, that she was in fact a child. But because of the fact that she thought she was 22, because she's been told she was 22, when she was being hit on by people, males I believe, yeah, she was 8. Disgusting. I'm going to have to leave it there, VooTubers. Sorry if I've upset you, but it needs to go there. It needs to be out there. And the more people that speak up, maybe it will stop other children suffering. Bye-bye now.